What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Mark, and I'm here in Osaka, Japan at the EVs and SDGs 2023 car show. Now, if you remember last year's video, I was here for that event too. I was wearing a mask in that one. But this year, we've seen some progress. And so we're going to take you around today to see some of the EVs here in Japan. As I mentioned in my previous video, Japan is still a bit behind in EVs relative to Europe, North America. So we're going to see what's happening here. I can tell you one difference. Behind me in the background there is the Volkswagen ID. Volkswagen was not here at last year's event. So we can definitely see some progress, but overall, let's see what's happening in Japan. So thanks for checking out this video, and let's go. Back here with XC40, you'll see the difference this year compared to last year is the closed-off grille, and bears a striking resemblance to the new entrance into the Volvo lineup, and that would be the EX30 and the forthcoming EX90. Like the look, very consistent and still sort of rocking the Thor's hammer treatment right here. Inside, there's really not that much different with this vehicle right here. This is a twin motor specification right here. Goes for about $60,000 US, so pricey for what it is as a compact EV SUV, but really nice what Volvo has going on here. And as I said, the inside is not much different from last year, so if you'd like to see that, check out the link in the video below. Behind me is the VW ID Buzz, and it has generated a lot of buzz. Unfortunately, there will be no buzz here in Japan today. The vehicle is not open for us to take a look inside and see what it's all about. Really disappointing, VW, because this is a hotly anticipated vehicle here. But from the exterior, it's really nice looking and you know, definitely sort of reflects sort of the iconic VW minibus from the 60s and 70s, and also quite a big vehicle as well here. But again, as I said, unfortunately, we don't get to see what's inside, so I can give you a proper review, but definitely like what's going on the outside right here. Let's talk about ID Buzz, and what do we know about it? Well, it has an 82 kilowatt hour battery, of which about 77 kilowatts is usable, and that's good for a range about 420 kilometers or roughly 250 miles. It is driven by a rear single motor, and the output is roughly 150 kilowatts. Now, this vehicle will charge via DC fast charging to 80% in about 30 minutes. In terms of efficiency, it's roughly 2.5 kilowatts per 10 kilometers. Now, that's not the most efficient, but for a vehicle of this size, and obviously given its profile, it's not going to be the most efficient, but it is a good-looking vehicle and a very nice, what I would call a family hauler, especially for long trips. This is definitely a very cool vehicle here. Pricing is roughly about 65,000 euro or 65,000 US. I don't have availability for the US market, but definitely something worth taking a look at. Now, as I mentioned, we can't see the inside of it, unfortunately, which is a huge disappointment, but we look forward to bringing you more information about the ID Buzz in a future video. So what do we know about Volkswagen ID4? Well, it has an 82 kilowatt hour battery in it, 77 kilowatts is usable. It is driven by a dual motor setup right here, and this is good for roughly 295 horsepower in an all-wheel drive setup. Now, the range on this vehicle is an astonishing 618 kilometers, so roughly about 360 miles. I would like to see if this holds true in real-world testing. If so, this vehicle is definitely a rival to the sort of average family SUV or even crossover type of vehicle right here. So Volkswagen's really got something that I think people should pay attention to. It is well built, build quality is excellent, and as I mentioned, also very comfortable. The pricing for this vehicle is roughly about 60,000 US, so it's right about there with the sort of average midsize SUV. And in the US market and perhaps Europe, there are rebates and incentives available in order to bring the price of this vehicle down. So once again, the VW ID4, check it out. I think it's quite nice. Okay, so we're here inside the ID4, and as you can see, it's a minimalist driver display, really open, clean interior here. You've got the panoramic, large moonroof right here. And yeah, it's good for carrying 5 passengers, and I would definitely say comfortably. There's a lot of room here for tall drivers, which is really nice. You have the infotainment display, really big, bright display, oriented toward the driver, easy to see the controls. And as you can see here, we have some of the seat functions and your climate control function here as well. So really nice layout right here. I know that the climate controls being integrated is a bit controversial, but there's also haptic as well right here. So you've got some buttons on the console right here to control climate control. Really nice, clean layout, and this interesting dash material right here with the stitching. And also you've got some seats here. It feels like a leatherette, and some sort of recycled material right here as well. Also, you've got a wireless charging pad. You've got a very large cup holder right here and a huge storage bin with USB-C to USB-C ports. And again, wireless charging pad. So yeah, plenty of options for storage here in the VW ID. So if you're in the market for a family hauler that's more of a crossover and less SUV, this is the one to look at. Also, you've got sort of a captain's chair effect right here, where you can put this down, and the same thing applies to the driver as well. Can't see it in the video, but a very nice touch from VW. All right, so let's get in the back. Now, the driver's seat is pushed all the way back, and there's plenty of leg room for even taller passengers, and there's pretty good under leg support as well. Usually in a vehicle like this, because of the battery pack, the leg support isn't very good, but this is nice, and the footwells are reasonably comfortable as well. You can get your feet under the seat, so that's pretty cool. Very spacious inside here though, and then also you have two USB-C ports here as well, and again, very comfortable for rear seat passengers. Panoramic moonroof is just fantastic in this vehicle as well. This is a really nice vehicle for VW. Again, as I said, if you are looking to have a vehicle that can accommodate your family, this is definitely something to consider, especially if you're in the market for an EV. So here is the Volkswagen ID.4's trunk, and it's quite spacious. You can get some small suitcases back here and maybe some outdoor gear for a day out with the family. Here you have some pockets, which are great for grocery bags and so on. Same thing on the left side here. And you've got a little bit of underfloor storage. It's, a bit sort of shallow in depth, but you can get a few small flat things here. That would be a charging cable, for example, or maybe something soft and fairly thin. And then also, here you have another port as well, and it doesn't, or sorry, not another port, but another layer to storage. Doesn't look like much is happening here. So this is your storage for the Volkswagen ID.4. And again, I think quite nice for sort of, again, being a crossover and a family hauler, good for short trips with a little bit of luggage inside. So with the VW ID.4, it is not what I would call a big vehicle. I would say a right-sized vehicle, especially considering the amount of interior space that it has, can seat 5 passengers comfortably. As I mentioned earlier, being able to hold a fair amount of cargo volume for short trips or day trips, especially going out for shopping and ordinary errands. This is quite a nice vehicle here, and I would definitely say if you're looking for something that's not an SUV, this is definitely something to consider here. Behind me are BMW iX1 and i4. And we covered these vehicles at a previous event. So if you're interested in seeing what these vehicles are all about, definitely check out the links to the videos in the description below. But there is something very unique about these vehicles for the Japanese market, and that they use dual charging ports. So on the front of the vehicles, they use CCS connectors, but on the rear passenger side, they use ChaDemo connectors. And why is that? Well, ChaDemo is the sort of preferred standard here in Japan for EVs. It's not quite common in the US or in Europe, but you can find it in some places. Nissan is definitely a supporter of the ChaDemo standard. It originated here in Japan, and for this market, the BMW i4 and the iX1 do feature ChaDemo. Behind me is the Audi Q4 e-tron Sportback. Now, this goes for roughly around $60,000 US, roughly 55,000 euro. Now, what do we know about this one? This has an 82 kilowatt hour battery, roughly 77 kilowatts usable. It's good for a range of roughly 400 90 kilometers or 360 miles. It is a single motor on the rear wheels. Now, this vehicle will accelerate from 0 to 60 in about 9 seconds. From a design perspective, this vehicle shares a lot in common with the Audi TT. Very sort of reminiscent when you look at the roofline of it, of an Audi TT. Up front, we have the familiar styling with the Audi quad rings, but it is closed off because it doesn't need the cooling of an ICE vehicle, but you have sort of lower cooling here for the battery and some forward sensors as well. Here we have 19-inch wheels, and they're definitely bulked up wheels to support the weight of this EV here. And if we come around the back, familiar Audi styling, sort of looks like a sort of EV or SUV version, I should say, of the Audi e-tron GT. All right, so the nice Audi representative has welcomed me to his vehicle. Please say hello to the camera. Thank you. So we're going to check out the inside here, and we sort of have an idea of what to expect. We've been inside Audi EVs before, so immediately you've got the driver display here, and I'm pushing the seat back as we go. And for taller passengers, quite a lot of room here. I'm average height, roughly 175 centimeters. And as you can see, there is plenty of room for taller drivers. You have the driver information display here oriented toward, or the infotainment system oriented toward the driver. So that's really nice as well. And here you have actually kind of interesting, sort of cool, sort of minimalist vibe for your audio and for your vehicle functions. You've got your GPS. Also, you've got your phone function right here. We're not connected, but just to see sort of what it does. Very bright, vivid display. So that's quite nice right here. The home screen, and also for your audio controls. We're not connected via Bluetooth, so not much to see there. But yeah, this really sort of nice setup that you have here for the driver controls, and very much in Audi fashion, a driver's vehicle. Here you have the gear shift levers. You've got some controls right here, right at the sort of reach of the driver. So with my left hand, I can kind of point to things as I was handling the vehicle. But one of the things, you've got this piano finish. I'm not sure how well this would hold up in terms of a durability perspective. Below, you've got a nice little storage pocket for wireless charging as well. 2 USB-C ports down here, and you also have a 12-volt port. Some fairly standard sized cup holders, a little bit on the smaller side if you're in America, where some of the drinks can be quite large. And you've got sort of this nice sort of kind of carbon fiber type of material up here. And also the seats. The seats are a fabric, and it looks like Audi is using some sort of recycled material. Feels like a leatherette. I'm not sure quite what this is, but it does feel quite nice. Feels very high quality as well. A little bit kind of heavy on the plasticky side right here, but for a vehicle in this class, that's okay. And then if I open the sort of console, which has a nice weight to it, this is a really nicely weighted, but if you have to reach something very quickly, might not be the most fun. And right here is just a deep pocket, no ports in here or anything like that. And one of the really nice things about the Q4 e-tron Sportback is the climate control is actually separate from the infotainment system. So a lot of people will appreciate that. Your heated seat functions, your temperature, and even your cooling and heating modes. But we're going to turn that off right there. But that is a really nice feature. And these buttons, really nice, solid buttons right here. Nice click feel, if you can hear that. So very nice quality feel in the Audi e-tron right here. This one, there's no panoramic sunroof on this vehicle right here, so you're just looking sort of straight away at the kind of sort of ceiling of the vehicle, but overall very nice. Okay, so we're gonna hop in the back and we're gonna do the leg test. And so the driver's seat is pushed all the way back in this vehicle right here, and there's plenty of room for average height passengers and even slightly taller passengers. So that's really nice as well. The sort of underleg support is, I'd say, about average. It's not too low. I think there's some pretty good under thigh support. And again, that's a real sort of common issue in EVs because the battery usually raises up the floor. And so therefore, in order to keep the seats as low as possible, sometimes there's not enough thigh support. But here we're okay. And you have climate control back here as well. 2 USB-C ports for real passengers, the air vent as well. Again, on here, this is a padded sort of leatherette type of feeling. It looks like it's some kind of recycled material, but it feels really good. A little bit sort of, I think, on the plasticky end, it might look a little better with a different interior color. But overall, very nice, very comfortable for rear passengers. So for a small family, I think this would do just fine here. One of the things to note in this vehicle right here is there's good headroom. So tall passengers, not a problem. To be a passenger in the back of this vehicle. Even for long trips, there's plenty of room in here, so it'll be quite comfortable. Again, really noteworthy for a vehicle like this with the sloping roofline. But again, for taller passengers, the Audi Q4 e-tron Sportback, which is a whole lot to say, accommodates rear passengers really well. You've got sort of a knee garage right here, which is good. So if you're a taller passenger, there's a place for you to kind of park your knees without sort of, banging your knees against the back of the chair. Very well done for consideration of taller passengers. So let's take a look around back here and see what we have for cargo. Okay. Once again, nice Audi representative helping out. So the cargo capacity for this Audi Q4 e-tron Sportback is 520 liters. So quite spacious here. It is a raised floor. For small items or maybe even a grocery bag, you have these pockets in the corner here. And if we lift this up, you've got a shallow sort of underfloor, and you can keep your charging cables or maybe some flat items there as well. And these seats do fold down. I'm not going to try to fold them down for this video right here, but it is nice cargo capacity, especially for a vehicle of this type with sort of the sporty profile, the sloping roofline. It is quite nice. This wraps up part 1 of the 2023 Osaka EVs and SDG show. Be sure to check out part 2 for even more EVs and some pretty cool e-mobility products. If you like this video, be sure to leave your comments below, and also don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and see you in the next one.